Welcome to The Sober Unicorn. We are a gay-hosted, all-inclusive podcast about sobriety and addiction recovery for the LGBT plus community and all of our allies. I am your host, Holden, and thank you for joining us today. Well, hello, everybody. It's Holden back here again with The Sober Unicorn. I bet at this point, you probably already know who I am. I'm 85 episodes in. So I'll just quickly get to the introduction of the guests. So today we are being joined by somebody that I met in the rooms um, that we kind of had an instant like click connection. We don't see each other all the time, but it's like the moment we started talking again, it's like nothing ever changed. So today we are being joined by Siler. Hello, Siler.
Hi, thank you so much for asking me to do this.
Of course, girl. You know what? I asked your ass a long time ago, and your response was, I don't know what I would talk about. Well, it's a recovery podcast. So, of course, what are we going to talk about but our chaoticness and active addiction and what recovery has like provided to us
hmm
now that we're clean? And I know you recently, oh my God, how long has it been? You're coming up on what, 18 months now?
I have about 14. I'm coming up on 15. So I will have 18 months in December, God willing.
Yes. Oh my God. That's
Very
when I get
exciting.
my, I know that's when I get my year, girl. I know my 9 months is
Mm.
in like 6 days. So yeah, 6 days.
Yeah.
Um, I know I had like, well, no, we're not going to go down that road. If you want to hear all about that, you can go listen to the episode of I Fucked Up. And you'll hear all about the shenanigans that I put myself through 9.5 months in a recovery. But we're back to nine, coming up on 9 months, God willing, and
hmm
I feel this time around my recovery is like so much stronger than it ever was. Even though my meeting attendance is, um, yeah, it is what it is. It's a lot stronger. So, anyways, so I normally start the episodes by being like, "All right, go dive into your trauma and this, that, and the other." But I'm kind of starting to change it up a bit. So I'll ask you a set of questions, like two, three questions off the bat. Um, But one of the questions I will have a stipulation. You are not allowed to give me a specific answer. So,
Okay.
my thing is, what is your favorite thing about recovery, or what has recovery given you? And the one answer that you are not allowed to give me is my life back. So, what is the
Okay.
biggest thing that you have gained from recovery?
I think for me, the women and rather the people in my sponsorship family, the connections that I have to people in general, but specifically with my with the people in my sponsorship family, because that's what I was missing before, was good, genuine connection to people that cared about me without concern over what I could do for them or what we could, do for each other, except for that one goal of just being in recovery and moving forward. So I've got some amazing people in my life that I might not have otherwise met. And I think that's the biggest thing.
Okay, well, I have preached about it so many times, and if this is your first episode, I'll preach about it again. Is to me the most important thing that I've ever seen in recovery is fellowship. The people that
Mm-hmm.
we meet in the rooms or even outside of the rooms. I mean, through the podcast, I've met so many people that use their own way of getting clean and sober, and like the community of recovery is tight knit. It's insane. Like I could go
Mm-hmm.
hashtag sober on TikTok, reach out to somebody, and
Mm-hmm.
they would be more than happy to like just talk to me and listen
Mm-hmm.
and everything. So, all right, that's the favorite thing. So, what is the least favorite thing about recovery
Mm.
that you've had to maybe something that was annoying, bothersome? Yeah, what's your least favorite?
That's a good one. Some of the people I met now. Principles before personalities. That's so true. No, wow. You know what? I think I don't I sometimes it is for me, oh gosh, that's a good one. It's realizing today that I don't want to use or whatever, but now I have to deal with my problems. And so that means taking some hard looks at myself. And I say, I mean, that's a good thing, but also it's kind of one of those things. There are days when things seem to be falling apart and I don't actually wish I wanted to use, but I'm like, wow, now I have to deal with this clean, and that's hard. um I don't, yeah, I mean, that's probably one of my least, is just taking the really hard look at myself. And I do, I've to watch my mental health too. That's a huge thing for me. um and and so I think, that's just probably one of my least favorite, okay, maybe second least favorite, sorry, is it took me a long time to get to where I am now as far as my clean time goes. And the people in my life that don't have a problem with addiction themselves, trying to help them understand what this disease is, um, because I still have a lot of people in my life that think that because I've worked on myself, now everything should be great in our relationship. Like it's just a one-way street.
Exactly. I mean, it's hard to explain to people that just don't understand. Yeah, I have a friend. I just bought a plane ticket somewhere. We were talking last night, and I was like, "Remember, no alcohol." And I'm like, "I don't care if they drink, whatever. That's not a problem."
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Well, you can have a glass of wine with me." I said, "No, no, I cannot." He's like, "Why
Mm-hmm.
not?"
Mm-hmm.
I said, "I'll be blacked out in an alley somewhere, like not remembering what
Mm-hmm.
happened the past few days."
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "All that over a glass of wine?" I was like, "Yes, queen.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, queen." Um,
Yes.
yeah, I think over time somebody can learn. Well, it depends on the person. I think there are
If they want to.
individuals. Yeah, there are individuals that can learn to um drink responsibly, but at least the addict I know that I am, the how I consumed alcohol and how I know anybody in that I've met and how they consumed alcohol. Yeah, I maybe be able to do a glass of wine one time or three times, but then I'm like, ooh, that shot looks real good. And then after that, I'll be,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that 15 shots
That
look
crack.
real good.
Well, yeah, and that crack cocaine looks real good over there.
You know what? I was never a crackhead. I kept it classy with the alcohol and meth. No, I'm kidding. Um,
Yeah.
I've never tried
Yeah.
crack, although, yeah, I'm never
You
going to.
know,
We're not going to do that.
it well, it's yeah, I mean, it's all fun and games until you're smoking crack in a hotel bathroom in South, Southwest Atlanta, looking for what you dropped on the floor because you don't drop anything as a crackhead.
Oh my god, the amount of carpet surfing I did, um, which
Mm-hmm.
is weird because I didn't have carpet. Um,
That's good.
you would think I would just sweep and be like, okay, let me rummage through this little pile of dirt, but no, I'd be searching
Mm-mm.
with a little light on my phone. Anyways, so
Yeah.
thinking about back about like active addiction, and like what you put yourself through. Now that you're
Mm.
clean and have this clear mind, what did you do in active addiction that you look back and you're like, bitch, for real?
Smoked crack. uh no, seriously. And I mean, I joke about the things that I did like that, like smoke crack, because I really did smoke crack, because it's one of those things that for me, I was keeping it real classy for a real long time, just doing a line of cocaine here and there with my, nice wine, until one day I was smoking crack. But I think what I really look back now, and have to just like laugh at myself, and roll my eyes at myself, is when I was a big drinker, and when I would try to get away with, sorry, the dog's gonna bark now. When I would try to get away with, like, I've been on a binge for days and days and days, but yet I would like try to make people think I haven't had a drink yet. I would invite people over for brunch. I'm gonna go put her away. I would invite people over for brunch, and I'd drink like 2 bottles of wine before they got there at 9:30 a.m. for breakfast. And then I'd be like, does anyone want me to open, want a mimosa? Like I haven't had a drink yet. Um, and now in hindsight and with a clear head, I know how much of a hot mess I must have looked like, smelled like, acted like, all of those things.
Yeah, I know the most shocking thing for myself, the revelation was, especially when I started writing the book, was, oh, by the way, y'all, the book's like a month and a half away from being out, but
Mm-hmm.
um, was the incredibly unsafe situation that I was willing to put myself in sexually just to get the high or sell myself. There was an individual in Dallas that he liked my body. I knew he liked my body because he was a chubby chaser and he had the drugs. And so, like, even though I wasn't ever going to like be with him because of how deep he was into his own addiction, um, I would like use the fact of that I was a chubby guy to my advantage. I would feed
Mm-hmm.
him the lies and, oh baby, I love you, and all everything like that to get all kinds of free dope. And then even going to a point of being in a hotel in Fort Lauderdale to sleeping with homeless
Sorry.
people, like driving around, like picking up homeless people off the streets, being like, you want to come
Mm-hmm.
back to my place, smoke some dope, and like have a good old gay old time. Um, and it was, and I look back at that now, and yeah, even though like clean, I'm still a little hoe. No, I'm kidding. Clean, I still there's still a bit of sense of promiscuity there, but I'm willing to put myself into a safe situation. Um, but going back to what you were saying is the amount of like manipulation that we did was
Mm.
crazy. But one thing I have noticed, people, I feel that addicts that manipulated during their addiction sometimes can be easily manipulated in their recovery. Do
Mm.
you find that to be true?
Oh wow. Um I never even thought about that. So those that were big manipulators while they were using,
Hmm.
easily manipulated, like they go all the way to the other side, super trusting, now they can be manipulated.
Yes.
Yeah. um yeah, I think very likely. I know for myself, definitely, uh, because I'm trying my best doesn't mean I am my best always, but I think I always want to believe that everyone is trying their best and everyone's doing their best and everyone has good intentions for, especially in the rooms. I'll think, certainly all these people are working the same program type, they're working their program the way I'm trying to work my program. And so surely they're being honest and they have my best interest at heart. So I think in that way, I probably, yeah, I could see that. I definitely know that I feel like I've either been manipulated or I've manipulated myself in some situations.
I know I
I'm
tend
not
to lie.
mentioning his name.
What I have found now is I try to convince myself when I want to do some stupid shit, like buying a ticket to Brazil. Don't get me wrong. Yes, I'm
Mm,
super excited to go, but I'm like, I know that manage the my financial unmanageability is a huge thing, and I'm just like, no, like I'm okay, girl. You just got a credit card and you maxed that hoe out already.
mhm.
In 2 days. Um, so in your active like addiction, um, we always think that we don't have it that bad. Okay, we always think, oh, I'm not addicted, or it's not that bad, or I haven't lost this, or I haven't lost that. So where was your turning point? Like, where did you look at yourself in the mirror and be like, come on, we got to get it together?
Oh, wow. I did that so many times. It kind of feels like it took me it took me a little over 5 years to get to where I am today. So, 4 years of trying, really 5 years of trying to get 1 year clean. Um, but I was, it was when I joke about, the search, some drugs, you know what I mean? Where I'm sure I'll never do that drug or this drug. And there are some drugs out there, thank God I haven't tried. But it was also, I lost relationships and I lost material things and I lost jobs and I lost, a lot of stuff. But I think what ultimately, and I've actually been kind of thinking about this a little bit lately, because it's hard for me to put my finger on what changed for me, a little over a year ago. And I really do think that I finally realized that, in a very deep way, no one was going to come save me. Like the knight, on the big horse, wasn't going to come and rescue me. People cared about me and people wanted to help me, but I think, that's what there was a desperation, um, of almost not wanting to really live anymore, which I dealt with for a long time, but this was more acute, and realizing that no one was going to come pick me up off the floor and say, no, please, I love you so much, and I mean more probably romantically, because that's been a big thing for me. I've had to look at my reliance on relationships, but no one was going to come and kind of strap me to their back and carry me along. I needed to get up and dust myself off and do it, or it wasn't going to get done.
No, for
This I
sure.
hope that's I hope that, like, does that kind of answer your question, or did I just go all around the world?
No, no, you definitely answered the question. And the thing is, everybody's experiences are so different. And kind of that's going to segue into the next. So, like, as you said, it took you 5 years to get to where you are. So I'm assuming there's multiple relapses involved.
Absolutely.
So what's different this time? I mean, what is it that finally stuck with you that were like to be able to get you to this 14 months?
I think, I think part of being in that place of, that, like, desperation, really, that realizing that I could do it for me. No one could do it for me. Probably there were a lot of people that would have done it for me if they could have. And so this time, I let go of all of the little things here and there that I had tried to hold on to through the years, of trying to do this, and that was taking all the suggestions. I was at a desperate place, with, I had an apartment and my lease was about to come up. So it was, I think God did everything, my higher power, but, had everything lined up for me so that I was able to let things go that I needed to let things go. Um, Including, the apartment, relationships, jobs, all of it worked out in such a way that I was able to, do what the people around me that had, um, gone before me, what they told me to do.
Hmm. So just essentially putting the trust in our, oh my god, what do they call it? Predecessors. There we go.
Predecessors, yes,
And
yes, yes.
what's so crazy is I had a coworker last night tell me, Holden, you're not done because you haven't lost everything yet. And I'm like, bitch. But like my final turn, because of course I relapsed. Okay, I think it's episode 46. If anybody listening, you want to go hear that emotional last episode. Um, but the thing is like I that's how I kind of felt at that point back then because yes, I had like given up my apartment because of me not being able to pay my bills, but I didn't lose my apartment. I found like I rented a room from somewhere. I always remained employed, um, and stuff like that. And so like when the relapse came, I was like, well, YOLO, like maybe I'm not done. And then that
Mhm,
last relapse, I was like, when everybody talks about isolation and stuff
mhm,
like that and using against your will, that's when I finally understood what that meant
mhm,
because
mhm,
I was locked in my room, um, TV off, phone off. Well, phone on silent. I was the first room at the top of the stairs. So I wanted it. My roommate, the homeowner was like, Number one rule: no meth in the house. Like he didn't care if I had pot, but he nothing else, and I didn't smoke pot because I mean, who does that? We like our hard drugs around here.
Right?
Um,
Yeah.
and no offense, no offense, so to anybody that smokes pot. But I would sit there, literally get high, not wanting to, but having to, and like sitting there in dead silence. I could hear if somebody was coming up the stairs or down the hallway, and so I could hide the pipe and everything like
Hmm.
that. And I mean, it's fuck. And I did that for like I would say a month and a half, going on 2 months, where every 4 days I would muster up the strength to go to work, type of thing, and it was
Hmm.
miserable. And
Hmm.
yeah, I may have not lost everything, but at the end of the day, like I still like not everybody needs to lose everything. That's
Hmm.
you can go back to an episode. Oh my god, I can't remember her name right now for the fucking I believe it's a note from a therapist. Somebody. Allison, I believe her name is. Um where you don't have to be an alcoholic to get clean. You don't
Right.
have to be a drug addict to get clean. The thing is like
Because
you it's a mindset.
it's a
You could
bit,
yeah,
yep.
you could be a weekend warrior. You can have a mommy wine time. You can be somebody that just gets fucked up at weddings and on certain events. The thing is it's just like her thing was she noticed how she was better without alcohol and said, "All right, well, let's just cut this out." Like
Yep.
I I have a lot of fun without alcohol. I don't know about you, girl. Like, well, oh, well, all right.
Hmm.
So let's go back to that because I'd be talking too much. Um,
Hmm.
so when you get into recovery, of course, the biggest thing is to change people, places, things. Okay, so you pull
Hmm.
yourself away from your friends. You stop going to the bar, the clubs. Like when what is like the first thing you did to introduce yourself back to like normal society? If it's a weird question, I'll like give an example. For me, it was I went to a concert sober. It was like the first time that I did
Hmm.
something that I'm normally fucked up at. That I was like, oh shit, like this is a shit ton of fun not having to get fucked up.
Hmm.
So what about you?
Oh, let's see. Oh gosh. The biggest thing that actually stands out to me, and I would have made fun of myself so badly if 10 years ago or 20 years ago for saying this, but realizing I could go out and be silly and have fun and drive home, you know, clean and sober at the end of the night, laughing so hard like I just like it had been like a party night, was I went to a convention, the first convention I ever went to. And but I went with my girlfriends and there was music. They do a dance or whatever. And just like being silly and laughing and driving on the way home. And I know a convention is obviously a bunch of clean and sober people, but it was probably the first one of the most fun times I had, laughing on the way home. My stomach and my head hurt. I was just like laughing so much and having such a good time. Um that I was like, wow, this is like what it used to feel like coming home from the club when clubbing was fun still. um and then I think just being able to aside from that, being able to go home, I came down to, when you say change people, places, and things, I'm from Atlanta and I came to Florida in 2020. And I just went home to see my dad 2 months ago or something, for the first time. I hadn't seen him in 5 years. And being able to drive, to cross the state line into Georgia, and because Georgia was a big fear for me, that just for some reason being in Georgia was going to make me use. But being able to go home and have a good time with my dad and my stepmom, and my some of the friends that I have where he lives, was like, okay, I can then dip my toe into it. Like, I'm not ready to go run hard in Atlanta, but I've crossed over a little bit into thinking, okay, I can go to Georgia and visit family, or some of my old, it's funny with me is, I slipped off into the abyss. Um, into my addiction, but I wasn't surrounded by people who probably even have issues with drugs or alcohol, which brought on isolation for me. So, I've got a lot of very nice, fine, very responsible, drink half a glass of wine and leave it type people in Georgia. So I was the one that couldn't do anything without getting loaded first. So I don't know. I feel like just knowing that I can go back around people now. I've kind of done it. It doesn't mean that I don't take it with a little bit of not a grain of salt, but I obviously am still going to be cautious. Sorry, who I hang out with or where I go or what I do, but to know that I can go and not have the overwhelming need to um to self-medicate in order to be around my family or some of my friends back home.
Yeah, I go see my family in November for 12
Mm,
days. Um,
yes, yes.
and they a whole bunch of hillbilly podunk motherfuckers. So we're gonna see how that turns out. I know it'll turn out clean. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, it's gonna be crazy, but I'll be all right. But come Atlanta, I didn't know you were from Atlanta. You know what's crazy is small world.
Yes, girl.
Atlanta was my last drunk.
Yeah, really?
Oh my god. Atlanta, my
Hmm.
drunk. Like the thing is with my alcoholism, like I didn't get into a car accident, thank God, because I was blacked out driving all the time. But my drunk, you know the Oakland Cemetery.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, that cemetery is stunning. And
Yes.
I'm a cemetery person. I love it. My friend
Yeah,
in Brazil said that's the one
me
thing we
too.
have to do, cemetery. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I flew there Friday night
Mm-hmm.
to get photos Saturday morning to fly out Saturday night at like 2 in the morning. And my drunk, like I landed, I was like, let's go have a drink at the gay bar. And
Mm-hmm.
next thing you know, I'm waking up Saturday at like 4 p.m., rushing to the
Yep.
Oakland Cemetery to be like, all right, we got to get these photos done. Um, to it being fucking closed for Halloween in tours.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. They do the ghost tours and
And I
stuff.
was like, sir, like I literally have flown in just to get some photos of the cemetery. Sorry, without a ticket, they were sold out. I was okay. For one, being somebody that was in the funeral business at the time, I was pissed because I mean, it's a fucking cemetery. Like, what if I have a loved one
Mm-hmm.
buried there and you're gonna deny me access to the cemetery? But you know what? Here
Yeah.
nor there. That's mm. But like, w- I'm not gonna go deeper into how the drunk how bad it was, but like, yeah, my drunk there was so severe for me that I left there. I was like, I gotta stop. I was like, I gotta get help
Yeah.
because I started ruining things that I love to do, and I mean, the money spent to
Mm-hmm.
fly there just to get photos, and I got drunk, which I could do at home in Fort Worth for a lot less money.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Good old Fort Worth.
oh my god, I know. So before we end the episode, um
Mm-hmm.
is there something that you would like to share that you haven't shared thus far?
Mm. Um, wow. Uh, if there's if by chance I just think that I mean this is such a cliche, life gets better. But it does. We do recover, we do. Um, you know, uh everything everything doesn't all come back the way that it was before. I think that's one of the things that I'm still learning is we don't just put all the pieces back together. But I wouldn't trade where I am for anything. And life gets better if someone's out there struggling. I'm a chronic relapser and never thought I would make it to 6 months or beyond. And you know, here we are. And I've made some amazing friends in the process. Friends that I call family.
That's amazing. It's kind of like a chosen family. Um, so last question. What
Okay.
would you tell the, because we are a gay hosted podcast, what
Mm-hmm.
would you tell the LGBTQIALMNOP person
Mm-hmm.
that is still out there on the streets struggling?
Mm. Um, there's a place for you here. There's it's possible to find your tribe and at least from my standpoint and so many people that I know and surround myself with, like there's absolute love and support, you know for anyone out there that's looking to get into to recover. But specifically, you're going to get me on a whole other topic now. um you know that there's support. There's all the way around. And I mean, whether you're struggling with addiction, and that sort of thing, or you're struggling with your mental health, or you're struggling because you're having a hard time coming out, or you're struggling because you don't know if you're safe or not. With me, you definitely are. And I know that there's so many people that are supportive. And I wish I could just take you're gonna get me on. I wish I could just go out there in the streets and like take all the people who feel not safe and bring them home with me and cook them a nice meal and let them know that they're safe. They don't have to use again. They don't have to compromise themselves, and and life can go on and they can find recovery.
Well, alrighty then. Thank you so much. And everybody,
Thank you.
again, if you're struggling and need some help or just want to talk, you can always reach us here at the Sober Unicorn Podcast. All the links and everything will be at the very like here in a second, at the outro. If you want to talk, not talk to me, and you want to talk to somebody else, just sift through the bios of our episodes. There are plenty of emails, Instagram hashtag, TikTok
Mhm.
hashtags, or ads or whatever you want to call it, handles. So I mean, there's so many people out there that would love to talk to you and just try to help you through whatever you're going through. So, again, thank you so much,
Mhm.
Siler, for joining us today.
Thank you. I love you.
Love you too, girl. Thank you again for listening to today's episode. Hit that follow button to be notified about new episodes every week. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can find us on Instagram at The Sober Unicorn Podcast or on our website at thesoberunicornpodcast.com. There you will find our episodes as well as our very own sober owned shop featuring products from small businesses that are sober owned. And remember everyone, don't be normal, be a unicorn, but better yet, be a sober unicorn.